feel really awkward at this point.
Becca? Becca's right here. Becca? I don't know.
And that, my friends, is the end of episode 2.
Becca never came to the room last night.
Picking right back up where we left off, last night Becca decided she's gonna sleep alone. She ain't fucking with them two no more. Quick interruption. If this is the first time you're seeing one of my videos, first off, welcome to my channel. But you need to know that this was one long video that I had to chop into several short videos. As of right now, I should have up to episode 4 done. So if you want to see the video all together, then go to my channel, go to the Couple to Throuple playlist and start at part 1. Sorry. Picking right back up where we left off, last night Becca decided she's gonna sleep alone. She ain't fucking with them two no more.
At the white party, Dylan was saying like, oh my God, I'm so excited to get to know Mia. And I'm like, get me the fuck out of this room.
And Jonathan is feeling the repercussions from Ramon and Ashmel's fight.
This morning, I just feel anxious. There's tension in the house between the guys and myself. I feel like it's a lot of like Ashmal and myself having conversations, not Ramon.
Well, in the morning, they all meet up for breakfast. This is like a regular thing. They chat. But this morning is different because Scott has joined them to do a little check-in.
So, what are some of the things you're learning?
Like Corey and I have been really in tune about choosing who we think is just like the best fit for our lifestyles. At this point, it almost seems easy.
The Dynamites, they seem to be doing well. Corey and Wilder don't seem to have any interest in switching up anything with Denise anytime soon. So Scott checks in on the boys, and I just want to point out how Ramon was acting before Scott got there.
We do want to see some, like, obvious.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, do you want to look here? Do you want to talk to us?
Yeah, I am.
You're staring into space.
This is earlier at breakfast. Ashmel and Jonathan they're doing their best to try to, bring the tensions down and talk and move forward. And Ramon can't even be bothered to pay attention. But when Scott gets there and he knows he's definitely on camera, he's all animated and he has no problem speaking up.
He and I need to be on the same page before we do have a third person come in. And I think also we're realizing that like first impressions doesn't always mean that it's the right thing to do.
How you gonna say that right in front of the boy?
Ramon has this wall up and I don't know how to bring it down. But if this would have happened outside the villa, I wouldn't be even dealing with this shit.
And you shouldn't. I'm like watching this, trying to nail down what Ramon's problem is. And my best guess is that he sensed maybe Jonathan had more chemistry with Ashmel and he doesn't like it. I bet had Jonathan acted like Ramon was like the top dog in the relationship, he wouldn't be acting this way. I'm also aware that there's probably a really funny joke about calling Ramon a top, but I'm going to leave that alone. The newbies really kind of haven't been on the same page since like that first day. And the reason finally starts to get addressed with Scott.
With you. Poly is supposed to be fun.
Right.
Okay. That's what we struggle with from you. It's like you're a teacher when it comes to Sean and I, instead of actually bonding.
Now, one thing I'd like to point out is in the beginning, Sanu said she'd been poly her whole life. And then in this scene, she said she'd been poly for half a decade. She's trying to make it sound longer. That's 5 years. That's not a long time. Now, it could have been just really edited weird, or she misspoke, or I just didn't hear something. But I'm starting to believe that she's a little less experienced than we were led to believe.
Sanu feels like her needs aren't being met, and we feel like our needs aren't being met as well. Kind of want that fun, craziness, we're not getting that.
So Brittany finally gets to the bottom line and basically says Sanu ain't no fun and she treats everything too serious and it's just not working for them. And you know what? That's fine. It's called chemistry. Not everybody's gonna have it. These three just don't seem to be the right fit and there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's to blame. Nobody's a bad person for not feeling chemistry. So that's pretty much all the tea that came from Scott's visit. But afterwards, Ashmel wants to, confront Ramon about how he was acting.
I'm just telling you, Ramon, I can't be around you if you're going to be rude to Jonathan. It's an unattractive trait when you're treating someone inhumanly. The way you're being rude in conversation is not acceptable.
Ashmel is 100% right. I don't care who it is. If you're my friend, boyfriend, whatever it is, if we're out and you're treating people poorly, it gives me the instant ick. If it happens on a date, like if you're rude to the staff or you're acting janky about leaving a tip, guess what, bruh? You don't have to worry about seeing me again. I cannot stand rude people. Anyway, Jonathan did absolutely nothing wrong, but Ramon's being a rude little bitch and refuses to acknowledge that he's done anything wrong. I bet you if you were to ask him, like, what did Jonathan do to be treated this way? He'd have no answer. He'd either stomp off like a little child or just talk in circles until he can find a way to blame somebody else.
I am getting more and more irritated by the second. Ashmal is really trying to police my behavior, and I'm just not about that. I am my own person, and however I decide to react, I own it.
You own it, Mr. Silent Treatment? You own it, Mr. I have a really fucking hard time apologizing? This is the exact opposite of owning things, sir. I am so annoyed with this guy. Moving on, as we saw at the beginning of the episode, Becca didn't sleep in the room with the Hulks, and we finally get to hear from her this morning.
Just like have such a ick towards him right now. It's just a very awkward situation because I still think Lauren's amazing. That's where some of my saltiness is coming from, because if Dylan was more secure in himself, me and Lauren could still continue this.
So as I suspected earlier, she really doesn't like Dylan, but she does feel good with Lauren. And this is where, like, I'd run into problems. Just because Becca and Dylan, like, don't get along, shouldn't Lauren still be able to pursue her if she wants? I think this falls in line with the unicorn hunting thing, but we'll get into that a little bit more later. Now, of course, starting first thing in the morning, everybody could feel Ramon in the vibes that he was putting out. So Corey decides she's gonna go have a little check-in with Ramon.
I wish our situation had gone the way that your situation went.
Right.
And I think that's what we thought it was gonna be like. I was like ready to like run off into the sunset.
Let's go over the timeline, shall we? Y'all picked Jonathan. He immediately moved into your room, and within hours, y'all were rapidly moving under the covers. Then, just hours after that, you decided to test the relationship, and even though all your partner was doing was looking out for your feelings by speaking up for you, you decided that they failed the test, and you've been acting like a rude little energy magnet ever fucking since.
And I don't know if it's like maybe on me and I'm just not realizing it or whatever.
Is that a hint of self-awareness I'm hearing? And yes, for the record, this is 100% on you. In these next clips, he finally gets down to his real issues. He says that he felt like Ashmel and Jonathan have more in common because they're both bisexual, and he felt left out. But we just went over the timeline. It was like maybe 14 hours from the point that they picked Jonathan to when they went to that relationship session. When did he even take the time to try to connect with him? Y'all could have been getting to know each other all day, but instead you decided to throw a little fucking tantrum and be mad at the world instead.
I can get a little insecure talking about my feelings. It's challenging for me. As children, we were told to not cry or not show people how we were feeling.
In Ramon's confessional, he lets us know that as a child, he was taught to hide his feelings, so expressing himself is hard. But I don't think he has a problem expressing himself. He's able to express himself just fine when he wants to be rude. In my opinion, he has an accountability issue, which I assume stems from not being allowed to express himself when he was young. You're trying to say that your childhood made you gaslight the hell out of Ashmel and be rude to Jonathan? You are a grown-up, sir, and those were choices. Now, we have no idea how traumatic his childhood was, but it still isn't an excuse to treat people badly. He's able to acknowledge that there are some lingering childhood issues that have affected his relationships and his ability to connect with people, which is actually a good thing. Being able to see where a problem started and how it negatively impacts your life is a great first step. That's why self-awareness is the first pillar of emotional intelligence. But I bet most of his relationships up to this point have all been pretty toxic, because until he addresses his issues and learns to reframe his unhealthy instincts, he's going to stay on his toxic rinse and repeat cycle for as long as he's allowed to. And it shouldn't be his partner's job to be his therapist. A partner is there to support a mental health journey, not be the leader of it. He should be seeking out help to address his issues so that he can be mentally and emotionally right with himself and not going on a show looking for a third boyfriend to inflict his damage on. I mean, look at it. It's only been a few days, and just that quickly, poor Jonathan got blindfolded and thrown on a roller coaster doing 100 test runs. Well, our newbies aren't having a great morning either.
The situation that we're in now, this Throuple isn't really, like, working.
It's pretty obvious that Brittany and Sean would like to explore other connections. Not because Sanu didn't live up to some preconceived expectation, they just don't have chemistry. They've basically made up their mind that they're switching tonight. They just have to decide between Darian and Peach.
Darian, she has like this cute little smile.
You know what it is for me about Peach? It's just her aura, like,
Yeah,
and she talks to you in this real, like, slow, sensual voice.
We saw in the beginning, Sean was kind of in his head, but now that, you know, they've been there a couple days, he's more relaxed with the process. He's kind of simplified his criteria for a partner.
There's nothing like when you meet somebody for the first time, that shit just makes you feel sexy. You know, you get that weird boner for no reason. I don't know what happens to girls, but you know what I'm saying?
So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see which one of these women gives him the weirdest boner. But I just have to say that I'm a little jealous. Guys my age are having to start to seek medical intervention for boners, and Sean's getting one every time the wind blows. My God, if I could just retain like everything that I knew and Freaky Friday myself into like my 21-year-old no jiggly body for just a week, I promise I wouldn't waste it. I would change my name to Mayhem.
I'm the latest hashtag challenge. I'm trending so hard.
I want to like set up a space where we feel comfortable, we feel relaxed. Actually move this into physical. Just like, can I kiss you, basically? Just ask her.
Corey and Wilder check in, and Corey's saying that she thinks that she's ready to take it to the next level to kiss Denise, and Denise, you know, is ready to kiss them too. But remember, seeing Wilder kissing somebody else is what caused her specific insecurity in the first place. So taking this next step is a pretty big deal for Corey.
This is all my shit.
Becca, aka JWoww, has decided to move her stuff out of Hulk Manor.
But I'm thinking I can just like throw everything in this bag and bring it all over.
Let's move out.
I know.
Besides his masculine views that give her the ick, I bet another reason that she's moving out is because he snores like a pig being whooped in a wind tunnel. She liked him enough to hook up with him, but after they fell asleep, I bet you he started snoring and she was like, can't do this. Interrupting my sleep with snoring makes me instantly hate a person. My mom, my dad, best friend, doesn't matter. I have snoring PTSD, and if I'm in a situation where the only reason that I'm awake is because you are snoring, I instantly hate you. Like mortal enemy, deep down in my soul, hate you. Now, how long and to what severity that I'm gonna hate you for depends, number one, on how long you kept my ass up, and number two, how much I actually liked you before I started hating you. If I didn't really like you that much, we may never get over it. Anyway, guess what? I think maybe Panama has some special magic flying pigs because Ramon is finally being honest about his feelings.
I don't feel like the entire time when we were getting to know Jonathan that I was fully included.
Now that I know that, I'll be more aware of it, and maybe the next one will go even deeper.
See how easy that was? He told his partner what was bothering him, and now that Ashmel knows, he can adjust. Putting on my I think I know some shit hat, I would say that what it boils down to is Ashmel is kind of more comfortable socially, whereas Ramon struggles with new people sometimes, and seeing how easily Ashmel connected with Jonathan made Ramon feel left out. This is an easy fix. His physical tell is to be quiet, but instead of expecting Ashmel to always have to play Zoltar the mind reader, and shout out to anybody that gets that Zoltar reference. Matter of fact, type Zoltar in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. But instead of expecting his partner to be a mind reader, I think that these two really should take from like the boundaries exercise that they did and come up with a safe word for any time that Ramon is struggling socially. And then like he can say the word or do the thing, and then Ashmel will know to like bring the conversation back around so that Ramon feels included. Or maybe Ramon gets overwhelmed and he just needs a moment, you know, to step away and kind of breathe or whatever. If they had like a safe word, he could say the word or do the thing, which means, hey, I need to exit, and give Ashmel some time to like come up with a graceful exit so that they can both get out of there without like making everybody else around them feel so weird. Also, he would need to keep in mind, if you're going to relinquish this responsibility over to your partner, he can't get mad at how he does it or how long it takes. Now that they've talked it out, Ramon agrees that he needs to go make peace with Jonathan. But if I was Jonathan, I've seen enough from these two that I wouldn't want to bring their bullshit into my life. I'd have to walk away.
You know what's funny?
What?
I'm actually more physically attracted to Ramal. Even though like he's like not fucking talking to me pretty much. I want to have a conversation with him alone. Touch his neck. I want to kiss him.
Jonathan, no. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
I am starting to realize that with Jonathan, there are some things that I did on my part that were not right.
Some things? Please name one thing this sweet summer child has done wrong except step down as an option for the two of you.
I recognize that, I own it now, and I don't think that it made the situation any better.
You never even gave him a chance, but better late than never, I guess. So Ramon actually does apologize for the vibes, and he straight up, he explains like he did to Ashmel that he felt left out. And it goes pretty well, and Jonathan accepts the apology. But then Jonathan lets Ramon know something that completely changes everything for him.
Walking into the house, like the first person I looked at was you. Like I am very physically attracted to you. I've been wanting to.
Did you see that smile? I honestly feel like had Jonathan said that to Ramon on night one about him being the hottest, we wouldn't be having these problems. I do appreciate his honesty here, and earlier he did say that none of this was Jonathan's fault. So we are getting somewhere. All Jonathan had to do was be a little reassuring and tell Ramon that he finds him the most attractive and Ramon is a changed man.
You are definitely the type of guy that I would date outside of this house. What can I say? Jonathan is a cutie with the booty, and I'm just so happy.
It's time for the couples to head off to their next session, and this time they have to leave their thirds at home.
I have to continue to be around the energy of like, you're not what we expected, what we wanted, you failed us.
Sanu is still feeling her feelings about the newbies. She feels like she fails them, but I think she's being way too hard on herself. Rejection sucks no matter what, and it's hard not to take it personally when somebody that you find interesting isn't interested in you, but I hope that eventually she realizes that sometimes the vibes just ain't vibing, and it's nobody's fault. Like I said earlier, there's probably going to be some really weird cuts because these were initially longer videos that I've had to cut into shorter videos. But if you go to the playlist, they should play straight through. So please go visit my channel. Also, if you made it this far, there had to be something that you liked. And if so, please consider subscribing or doing any of the other YouTube things. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. Bye.